Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks with ADSR, and you're checking out a first look video for Spectrasonics Keyscape. So this was just released today. It's a huge, all-encompassing keyboard piano style library. It retails for $399. You can get either a digital download version or you can get a physical boxed version. I got the digital version because I couldn't wait, and I literally was up at 12 midnight last night, and I went to the site and got it and downloaded it. So with the internet connection that I have here in LA, which is pretty bad, it's not that great, it took about 6 hours, I think, to close to 7 hours to download, and took some time to install as well. Now, it's a really large library. It's about 80 gigabytes in size, and when you install it, you have the option to install the full version, which is around 80 gigs, or a light version, which is 30 gigabytes, and that's tailored for people who are like on their live rig, they're performing, like maybe you have a laptop that you use to perform out with that sort of stuff. I opted to install the full version, and it is the actual patches and presets and samples. They're coming from the Steam engine, which is, if you're a Spectrasonics user, that word will make sense. If not, you'll understand if you buy it. It's kind of how they handle the streaming of their sounds, but that's on my external hard drive, that's SSD, because it's a quicker transfer rate than my hard drive, which is Fusion, so I've had better luck with that. So you can install the actual samples on an external, so it doesn't have to eat up space on your actual physical mounting hard drive. So that's kind of the gist of, the introduction to it. Now, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about some of the different sounds, walk through the different types of pianos and keyboards that are in it, talk about the different controls, that sort of stuff. Then I'm also going to compare the grand piano and Keyscape to some other grand pianos, because I know a lot of people, when this was announced, it seems like there's a pretty good division between people who were really excited for it, and I fell into that category, and then other people who are like, well, do we really need another piano library or keyboard library? So I opted to spend my money on this as opposed to Complete 11 upgrade this fall. And I'm pretty happy I did. It's a really fun instrument. I've only had it for a day, but I've been really enjoying dinking around with it. So later in the video is when I'm going to play some of the sounds. The first section of this video, we're going to be talking about some of the controls and the user interface. So each piano, each keyboard, whatever you load up, it's going to have a picture of it. And the layout's going to be pretty similar. You're going to have a picture, then down here, you're going to have controls. There are going to be 3 tabs that are going to be on every patch, whether it's acoustic piano or a digital piano, whatever. There's going to be 3 tabs that remain the same, and that's the main tab, which is right down here, the settings tab, and the info. Now, the info is kind of cool. It'll give you a little brief information tidbit about the actual piano or keyboard. So this one is the C7, Yamaha C7 Grand Piano. It tells you who it belongs to, where they sampled it, that sort of stuff. Now, the settings tab is going to allow you to determine your voices, your scale, which is really cool, velocity, sensitivity, that sort of stuff. So I've noticed with voices while I've been doing the video, I get some pops when I'm playing. I have a much better, I've had better luck setting the voice count to 16 as opposed to 32, and it can go all the way up to 64. And I think that's because I'm also recording video, which is quite RAM intensive on this computer. So the load time on these, speaking of RAM, is quite intense on some of the grand pianos. It takes a while. So let's go to where we can go to the system tab up here. And you have different options for how you're going to load up these sounds, or how your computer, rather, is going to call them up. There's streaming, and then there's not streamed. I would suggest not doing not streamed. I tried that, and my whole computer had a conniption, and I had to force shut it down by actually physically turning it off. I couldn't even command option escape to actually get it to force quit Logic. It just hated life. So keep it on streamed. And then you have the stream break and preload memory load samples size down here. I've got better luck turning this up a little bit and having the stream break quite low, if not all the way down. So then over here you have things like master tuning, round robin, which is really interesting that they give you that option. If you don't know what round robin is, when sample developers or library developers are going to make a sample library based off of a really intricate sounding, many articulated sounding instrument like a string, a piano, a guitar, they're going to record that sample at multiple velocities, but they're going to record each velocity multiple times. So then as you're cycling through this at the same velocity, it's not playing the same sample. So you can actually choose kind of how that is. You have no variation, random, full cycle, and sequential. So there's also some MIDI information. And to click off of that tab, you just go up to System and click off. Now there's a utility section, which is pretty cool. You can do undo stream break, which is kind of like a purge almost if you're a contact user. Similar to that. You have save patch. You can save your own patches. I've saved a couple patches that I've changed and tweaked. So let's say you turn on reverb, change the EQ, do some stuff, and you want to save it. You can go save the patch. It's quite easy to do. But that's really the bolts, the nuts and bolts of this top part and this bottom part. It's pretty simple stuff. Now again, I can't go through all these controls on every patch because there's too many and they do change, but just to reiterate, every patch, every piano, every keyboard has a main, settings, and info. The only thing will change will be those other different elements. Now the main tab is going to have some consistency across every patch as well. You're going to have this performance section over to the right. And that's going to be things like release noise, pedal noise, velocity sensitivity, and that sort of stuff. So you can really get in and shape the sounds of everything in Keyscape. So this is the C7 grand piano. So you can hear a lot of pedal noise if I hit the pedal. A lot of release noise. Right? You can turn that down. You can turn down the pedal noise, which is nice. And something that is really amazing, in my opinion, is do you hear this kind of noise build up as I play? It's like that high-pitched hiss. You can actually go to the EQ, and you can denoise. So there it was on off. Let's do strong. So that is one of the coolest features, I think, in Keyscape is that you can do that with pretty much every piano that has noise or room noise buildup. So it's really nice because if you're doing a really sterile sound like a pop track or an EDM track, you may not want that noise buildup, or you might. So it's just nice to have that option. Now, some of the patches come with equalization, compression, different effects. Most of them also have reverb on the main tab. And the reverb sounds great. Now, one thing I don't like, though, let's turn up the pedal noise. So let's turn off the reverb on that. All right? Turn the reverb up. Right? The reverb is affecting the pedal. I had to move real quick. I had to grab my pedal. But I don't think that's super realistic. It kind of sounds a little bit weird. So if we turn the amount up, I mean, they're like if you were playing a keyboard in a concert stage and no one was in the audience, if you hit the pedal's not going to reverberate out that loud. So that's one thing that I thought was a little bit weird, but overall the reverb sounds really good. Much better than Kontakt stock reverb, in my opinion. So let's go through, I'll play this a little bit more, but we're going to hear this in depth. I'm going to play everything. I'm not a great keyboard player, guys, so if you are a classical musician or a film score dude or gal, you might get upset at my mess ups, but I apologize. So I'm going to play a little bit of this right now. So as you can hear, it's a really big sounding grand piano. It's very big, very in your face. So let's go through and we're going to load up some of the other patches. So here is the C7 Rock, and you can see here that it says preview ready. So you can preview the tone of this as it's loading. Like I said, it does take a little bit of time to load. And you can see here we have main, EQ, comp, settings, and info. So again, main, settings, and info are on every patch. Some patches have this character tab here, which is going to change kind of the timbre of the piano. So we can go to dark. Go stage. Right? So there's Pier. Now, some of these sound really cool. I'm not a huge fan of the rock version, but we'll go to the cinematic. And you can see if you go to the info, it's the same piano. It's all the same C7 sample. It's just different versions, different effects. But I really like this one. It's got real good sound to it. You can denoise, which is nice because it has a lot of reverb. All right, we'll go to Unreal Smash. I mean, I'm going to turn that down, but that'd be great for real hard kind of pop playing. Right? Just really huge. That's what's called Unreal Smash. Then you have softest. Again, the noise buildup's a little intense for me. I'll probably keep it on medium on a lot of these patches. But that one's really good sounding. Let's try the bright. We got the pop sound. I've produced a lot of pop, and I've always hated pop pianos and sample libraries, but let's try this one. Really big, really bright, really in your face. Let's try the indie, and then we'll go on to another category. Really like that one. So I can't go through all these guys, but there are some really cool ones. There are one I wanted to go through, the dark score. If you're a film score person or a hip hop person, this is just dope. So my piano playing isn't doing that justice, but it can do some really cool stuff. The ballad one's really interesting as well. It's one of my favorite ones. But then we have this vinyl one. Now this one is really cool, and also this wash one is nice. And there's one I'm trying to show you guys. The dark. Okay, it's the vinyl. Really cool for like intros and breakdowns and that stuff. All right, so let's go to the pianos again. And here is the winged upright. And I don't know why upright pianos aren't sampled more in the sample world. Imperfect Samples has a good one. Native Instruments finally made one. I forget if it was called the Maverick or the Gentleman. It's one of them. But this one has character. Also, what's the name of the company? I think it's Cinesamples. They have a upright piano as well. It's really cool. So if you're wondering how I know all this about the piano stuff, I have a lot of piano libraries. For some reason, I kind of like collect them. I don't know why I don't use them all that much. I like just dink around playing with pianos. I think I own close to 40. The reason I'm saying this isn't to be like, look how cool I am. I wasted a bunch of money on piano libraries. It's to show you, or to give you a clear perspective of where my perspective is coming from. And this is one of the best uprights I've heard. So let's try this out real quick. It's just stupid big, really nice. I can't talk about that enough. Then you have all these different versions of the upright, just like you do with the Grand, the C7 Grand. So let's see where this upright's from. So it's a century-old upright Grand. So it's not just a typical upright. It has a very, very nice big sound. So there's just tons of them. I like that there's a mono one. So if you have a dense mix and you maybe doing like pop, country, that sort of stuff, and you need just like a mono piano just to fill out the mix, don't want to deal with phase issues and just the width of a stereo one, you have that. There's the honky tonk and the lonely basement one's kind of interesting. Let's play those two real quick. One's really nice, the honky tonk. Really, really cool one as well. 60s mute. Also a really interesting one. That would be really fun for pop, for hip hop. Then we have wing tack pianos. So these basically use a lot in film score. If I play them at low velocity, it's got more of that rattle harpsichord type sound. If you play them at a higher velocity, more of the key sound comes through, and then you have a bunch of cool ones. Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, let's go now to some of the bell tones. Things like celestes. Now, this is obviously going to be, you can spin this any way you want. You could use it in Moombahton. You can use it in like anything that's got like a reggae type vibe. You could use it in tropical house. You could use this in hip hop. So it's just really how you play it. A little bit more hip hop. We could change it and do more tropical house. or just as chords would be really cool. So again, you get tons of those, which is really interesting. I've never had many of these types of samples, so it's really cool. See, just tons of these. I mean, I can't, oh, these, a music box one. And the noise, I love the noise in there with it. So on these different keys, you have like close mics, room mics. So you have different mics, which is really interesting. So that's just the room. You can change it to mono on a lot of them. Let's try the vintage pickup. So just insane stuff, right? Let's go to the staccato one. So you can see a good example of how these different controls change for the different keyboards. Let's go to a Chimatron, not sure if I'm saying that right, but let's try it. So you have close mics and room mics on this one. This is crazy cool stuff. Let's see the info on this. It's kind of like, it's like a really cool bell sound. I've never actually played one of those. So that's a whole new instrument to me, really. Dulcet tone, love these. You have stereo and mono mics on this one. This would benefit from reverb for sure. So, I mean, these are types of sounds that I don't have in any other library. Let's check out the toy piano. This is it's so well sampled. So again, the really cool thing about this library is as I'm going through this demo, I actually just want to stop doing the video. I just start making some beats. Let's go through the clavinets, play a couple of those. So you have different pickup patterns on this. You have bass and treble on the main. Let's play this Crybaby one. So kind of like that. If you don't know, Crybaby is really popular effect for electric guitarists. Just crazy cool stuff. I like the Clavinets a lot. I can put high pass on this and use this in a lot of EDM. Or sorry, low pass. Be a really cool sound to use in like a verse, future bass type track. Tons of different Clavinets. Going through tons of different types of amps. And on all these clavinet ones, you're going to have the pickup patterns. You're going to have tone, timbre. A lot of them you have wah and amp as well. So it's really cool. You can see wah and amp on that one. On the clavinet, you get amp, different effects, that sort of stuff. All right, then we get electric pianos. And if you're a hip-hop guy, R&B guy, or gal, these are great. These are some of the best Rhodes emulations, Wurlitzer emulations I've ever used. So let's check out the Rhodes. thing with these Rhodes is you have the Rhodes sound. You have this mix on the main tab. So if you were just sitting, if you sat down in front of a Rhodes and it wasn't plugged in, wasn't turned on, this is what you'd hear if you hit the key. You hear the mechanical, actually like the hammer, the mechanical noises hitting it. And then you can turn that up. I've never seen that on a Rhodes electric EP type sample, or if I have, it hasn't been this well done. I could play these for days. There's just too many to go through. It's a classic Rhodes. Let's go through the one, the Wolisers. Really, really cool sounds on these. All right, let's go through some of the hybrids real quick. These are going to be blends between two different things, like maybe a piano, maybe some types of bell tone with a piano. This is the more sound designy stuff in this library, and it sounds really cool. I mean, that'd be great for EDM, really. Here's another one. I wish I could play all these for you guys, but just not enough time. Right, the key bass ones, these are kind of interesting. Just really low, bass-oriented key sounds, which is kind of cool. Never heard that. Now this mini piano section, this is one of my faves in the whole library. Basically got like student pianos, toy pianos, all that sort of stuff. Oh man, that one is insane real low. Yeah, I mean, Spectrasonics has killed this again. I'm kind of getting at loss for words here. Toy Rhodes. Let's try this out. Love that. Want to make a beat with that right now. So yeah, it's a really interesting blend of the toy, like any of these toy pianos are gonna have like the stock, like you're actually sitting in front of it, as well as Spectrasonics take and kind of more film score, more out there type effects, and it's a really, really good mix. Yeah, again, these effects, these settings, I don't have time to go through all of them, but you have controls like stereo, mono, compression, EQ, really basic stuff, but it's all there. It takes no time at all to get the hang of using those. I want to spend more time playing these different sounds. Here's a toy grand piano. That'd be great for like OVO hip hop, that sort of stuff. We could also do a future bass thing with this, or not future bass, more like DJ Snake. Layer that with a pluck would be really cool. All right, then we have plucked keyboards, speaking of such. Really cool stuff here. Ethnic stuff as well. All right, the electric harpsichord. Let's actually load up so this is really cool. I've never really had many harpsichord type samples. This one takes a while to load though. Really, really interesting stuff on that. But then we have the vintage digital keyboards, things like a JD800, MK80 Rhodes. We got the info here. This is a Roland emulation here on the MK80. This is the DX7 Rhodes sound. Right, so just really interesting stuff. And then wind keyboards. Things like, they have a harmonium in here, or is it just a harmochord? No, it's just a harmochord. I mean, I don't think this has ever been sampled. I mean, think of that, like using this in place of brass for hip-hop, trap type stuff. Really interesting potentials, actually. So that sums up this video. I think this video is getting to like 33 minutes. I don't want to go over 35, so let's end this pretty quick. So my overall impressions of Keyscape is it's a really, really cool library. At $3.99, it might sound really expensive, but I mean, if you can play anything as a producer, an engineer, or artist, whatever you may be, DJ, and it creates inspiration, inspires you to create, I don't think it becomes a kind of an opportunity cost, really. So it is a great library. I've only had it obviously for a day, but I'm really excited about it. Now, one last thing I wanted to do, we're going to cap this video off, and we're going to be doing, I'm going to compare the main grand piano, this custom C7 grand piano inside of Keyscape, and we're going to kind of play it the same MIDI. I'm going to play the same MIDI and turn off the mic to do this, and we're going to kind of A/B it against a bunch of other piano samples that I like to use. So guys, if you have any questions or comments, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Check out the end of this video to hear these comparison between the grand pianos. I will see you guys next time.